Biblically Centered Kids.
Hello and happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome back to the Biblically Centered Kids podcast. Today is January 31st, 2024. It's actually the last day of January. The first month of 2024 is about to come to a close. Can you believe it? My name is Miss Danika, and we are going to have some fun on today's episode. First off, on this day in 1954, the Explorer 1 was the first space satellite orbited by the United States, marking the country's entry into the space race. Do you know what a satellite is? A satellite is an object that moves around a larger object. Earth is a satellite because it moves around the sun. The moon is also a satellite because it moves around Earth. Earth and the moon are called natural satellites. Satellites provide information about Earth's clouds, oceans, land, and air. They also can observe wildfires, volcanoes, and smoke. All of this information helps scientists predict weather and climate. Satellites also help us call people from far away and be able to watch TV. If you remember, yesterday we learned all about Daniel and his buddies. And because the Bible is a real book about real people and places, I want to share some fun facts about some aspects of our story yesterday. About 50 miles, or 80 kilometers south of modern Baghdad in Iraq, is where the great city of Babylon once stood. It was truly a wonder of the ancient world. The book of Daniel contains prophecies about the coming of Jesus Christ. Nebuchadnezzar is mentioned in the books of Daniel, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel. A man named Robert Caldaway began
large-scale excavations
at Babylon in 1899 and worked uninterrupted for 18 years. He was able to uncover significant parts of the city, including Nebuchadnezzar's palace. The main southern palace was trapezoidal in shape and constructed around 5 large courtyards. Have you ever heard of a trapezoid?
It's sort of like a funny-looking triangle.
9 copies of the Book of Daniel, represented by 22 fragments, were discovered among the Dead Sea Scrolls, which attest to most of the chapters in the Book of Daniel. The earliest Dead Sea Scroll copy of Daniel has been dated to the 2nd century BC. Whoa. We're in the 21st century today. I hope you enjoyed those fun facts about Daniel and our story from yesterday. This week, we've been learning all about self-control. Virtue E says we exercise self-control in our words and actions, even when faced with temptation. Now it's time to have some fun. We're going to practice self-control by playing Simon Says, or to make it more biblically centered, Simon Peter Says. Simon Peter Says. Simon Peter, or Apostle Peter, was one of Jesus' 12 disciples and one of Jesus' 3 closest friends. Peter was a fisherman by trade along with his brother Andrew. He grew into a gifted preacher and bold leader for Christ. Jesus said that he would be the rock on which I build my church. And if you remember, Simon Peter boldly stepped out of the boat to walk on the water with Jesus. Peter's brazenness shows us that God uses even the most unwieldy people to advance his kingdom. What do all those facts about Simon Peter have to do with the game Simon Says? Well, Simon learned to listen and obey Jesus. And by doing that, he probably used self-control. So, our game of Simon Peter Says works just like the game of Simon Says. Each time I say Simon Says, you will do what Simon tells you to do. If I don't say Simon Says, then don't do what I say, and we'll see how good your listening is. It'll be kind of like practicing self-control. When you want to do something but haven't been told to do it, don't be tempted. Keep listening for what Simon tells you to do, and only do the things that Simon tells you to do. All right, are you ready? Simon says, march in place. Simon says, stop. Simon says, march around the room. Simon says, stop. Simon says, march in place again. Simon says, walk backwards. Simon says, stop. March in place again. Are you marching or are you standing still? Simon didn't say. All right, let's try again. Simon says, hold up 1 finger for Daniel. Simon says, hold up 4 fingers total for Daniel and his friends. Simon says, show me your pointing finger. Simon says, wiggle your pointing finger. Simon says, write your name in the air. Simon says, draw a crown in the air. Try to draw a lion in the air. I bet I caught you. Let's keep going. Simon says, be still and stand tall like a statue. Simon says, move your fingers like fire. Simon says, jump 3 times. Simon says, jump a giant jump. Now bow down to King Nebuchadnezzar. I bet you guys were smart enough not to fall for that one. All right, here's our last round. Simon says, get down on your knees. Simon says, pretend to be a lion. Simon says, roar your loudest roar. Simon says, slink around on your hands and knees. Now give me your loudest roar again. Got you! Isn't it fun how we can practice self-control even in a game? We use the actions in our game to act out different parts of our stories from yesterday about Daniel and his friends. Did you catch that? I hope you were able to recall some of what we talked about using the motions we did. I really enjoyed playing with you today, and I hope you really enjoyed listening. I had a great time, and I can't wait for tomorrow. Until then, keep up the good work of practicing self-control.